Want to say hi?
What is it? I'm thirsty, actually. Take two. Leave it on hold.
Okay.
And action.
Kill it.
Hey guys. Welcome back to our channel.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to, get myself together. In the mood.
Yep. Say hello to my pretty wife.
Say hello to my sexy, handsome husband with some gray hair already.
No.
Yeah.
So today we'll be talking about different upbringings. If you know you've been enjoying our table talk, leave a comment below and just let us know how you think or what you think about our table talk.
Do you want to have table talk podcast with Ruth and Ebony or Ebony and Ruth? Would that be something?
That sounds very cool. Ebony and Ruth podcast.
Yeah. Think about it, guys.
Because we're trying to convert our table talk into a podcast.
Yeah.
We have the video version and the audio version. For those of you that are quite busy and you like to listen on the go, we could talk about topics that you would like, to hear about. So you can suggest down below what we could talk about.
Everything from serious talk, funny talks about movies, about jollof. Which is the better jollof, the Nigerian one or the Ghanaian one?
I don't want to go to that fight. God's rice is the best.
we will see. So like everything from there to serious talks.
It's an entertainment, like how Will slapped Chris. So today we'll be talking about our different upbringings and just compare how we grew up, how we were raised, and how we became what we are right now. Because by God's grace, we've learned a lot, and we've also seen that affect how we parents now, and how we live, and trying to talk about the similarities and the differences between how we were raised and stuff like that. So I hope you guys like it. And so the first things first, I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
How did your parent handle when you did something wrong? Like, what was the response? How did they handle that?
I mean, sorry, my stomach.
It's okay.
Stomach making noises.
Stomach was like, Are you sure you want to talk about this?
Okay, anyways.
I actually thought that it was Zayn. That was crying. Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'm a good example for that because the thing is, I was quite.
It's not about being a good example.
I was a nice kid.
Your...
Okay, I was a nice kid to come to that point. Okay, the only thing that I remember when I did something bad or like I was lying to my mom about something because I was breaking her favorite mug or coffee mug, and I was hiding it underneath, my table or something. And one day she found out that I hid it from her and, I was lying about it and everything. And that was the only time where she took my hands and slapped me a little bit or was like, no. But even then I had such a conscience already where I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I would cry and burst into tears. And, I had this, I'm like Jason when it comes to that. Like, you don't need to...
You need to smack her for us to know, like, just your countenance and your emotional expression.
Your emotional expression, the way you are, your facial
expression,
like everything that is enough for me to already know, okay, I did something wrong, and like not just I did something wrong, but to feel bad or sad. So yeah, that's how mostly my parents, they stopped and talked and explained, which I'm really thankful for, because they discussed also with me a lot. Yeah. For you, how was it for you?
For me, it was quite. It was a bit more.
Wait. Let me take off my slipper. I'm just kidding.
Exactly like that. For me, it was a bit more interesting, not as boring as ours. Of course, and just they carry last. We have to do it the right way. They're going to beat that stubbornness
out of him, not knowing that the stubbornness will just be more stubborn.
Stubbornness will solidify and learn how to escape beating. So, growing up, getting spanked for doing the wrong thing. Spank is a nice word. Beating. For doing the wrong thing. Like, if you explain that to people from the West, they probably call it abuse. Because if you do it here in Germany, or
you're in danger.
Or
because
in the US,
they can call somebody to come here and pick up your child.
Child services
if somebody comes and knows about this, your neighbor, your anybody, and hears that, they can come.
Yeah, So there are things that we were, the way we were disciplined, or the way I was disciplined growing up. For me, I was like, it was normal because everybody was, they were getting disciplined the same way. But then when you share that in the West or in Europe, you're like, wow, I'm sure you're very traumatized. Do you need therapy? I'm like, terrible.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing about this, but I'm like,
are you laughing at my trauma? Like, you need therapy. I'm like, Tara, what? Of course, there are extremes, and I grew up like that, doing something wrong. I had like two different personalities of parents, and they were always present, and they tried their best to raise me up properly. I was the firstborn, so of course I was the experiment. Every discipline, they would try it first on you, the firstborn, before.
And then there's also a difference between a male and the female. Like, they would not do the same thing.
No, they would be nicer to a woman, yeah.
Yeah.
Also a female child.
To girls in general, than to the boys. Because sometimes the expectancy is that a boy, is more naughtier and does like this crazy stuff, and they need to be harsher. I
wasn't innocent in it. So I did stupid stuff. But the common way was to spank you or to flog you or to. And I was flogged with different instruments. If you're Nigerian, you use koboko, you use cane, you use belt, you use like different stuff that if you tried here. And so to a point that you would even have scars on your body.
Please. Don't take it up like that we, we want to point out that we love our parents.
Yeah, we love our parents.
They're good parents.
Like, I'm not the only one, so don't worry. Like, we have a lot of people that have gone through that. And, they parented the way they knew how to and where they grew up. And, and for my dad, like, he lost his dad when he was quite little. So he doesn't really, really know his dad. And so, a lot of things they did were it was from where they were coming from and what they knew. And so I'm not the only one. And so that was how I was, that was what was done if I did something wrong. But it came to a point where my dad was like the disciplinarian, and my mom would also discipline sometimes, but mostly she would look at you. She would give you the look. And funny wise, I was more affected by the look than by the whip, Actually, the whip would make me actually learn how to be hardcore and even misbehave more and not get caught, because back then it was common, like, oh, you were flogged, okay, every kid would laugh about it or whatever. But what I hated was when my mom
gave you the look or cried,
look at me or cry because I did something bad. That was terrible. Like, I couldn't eat. I had to go to her and find out what's going on and try to apologize until I knew that she had forgiven me. But when I was whipped, I was like, it's done. It's like, I got whipped, so it's fine. It's like, you get stronger. And at some point in your life, you can no longer be whipped because you get older, you know?
Yeah.
At some point, you're stronger than that, you know? But you can never get...
So was it one of your brothers took the cane and smashed it on the floor?
One of my brothers, he was about to get whipped from my dad, and he was so tall. And then he grabbed the cane and just threw it in the floor. And one of my other brothers like, it's enough. It's you know, at some point you say that, but you never get older than your mom's expression. No matter how old you get, like even on the phone, you know if she's happy or if she's sad. Yeah. And for some of you, it's your dad's expression, like it's different, you know, for different people. Yeah. But for me, I discovered that although I had both words, like the nonverbal.
He has a lot of nonverbal communication. I did not have that a lot. I had a lot of verbal communication that I learned. I had to learn that through him, actually, the nonverbal communication, which I'm trying to implement in, you know, and how we raise our kids and to really give him the face and the look. And I'm really bad at poker face people. Let me tell you, I'm very bad at that. But sometimes I'm just trying really hard to give him like, you know, a nonverbal facial expression so he knows even if it's this or something else. Yeah. Because I can't be screaming all the time. It just doesn't work. So
yeah. And also, by the way, my dad is a pastor. So we grew up in a religious environment. Now it's a bit different because it's older and softer, especially with the girls. Like with the last
two girls, yeah.
The last time my mom was here, I was like, what happened to my mom? She was so soft with the grandkids it's different. She was like, oh, she couldn't even bear to hear them cry. Yeah. She was like, just give them what they want. I'm like, huh?
Give them what they want. She was like,
what about what I wanted? Give them what?
She would feed him with every kind of stuff and make whatever he wanted to have and give him the phone and give him the TV 24/7. I was like, no, we can't continue doing that.
Just give them a tablet or whatever they want. I'm like, tablet. The only tablet I got was chloroquine and Panadol. Give them tablet.
They're your dreams. Oh yeah.
And so it's different, and it was nice to see to come together and, you know, combine those differences. But even till now, I'm more of a nonverbal person. I'm affected more by how you look at me and your tone than when you try to hit. Because when you try to hit, I get into a fight or an attack position, and we discovered that it's quite similar to.
Both of our kids,
Jason, I mean, mostly Jason, because Zane is still, we're not sure yet.
But even Zane reacts to how, you know, how I talk to him.
That's true. Like, Jason would hit Zane, and Zane would be laughing.
But Jason was also like that. When I was just, you know, just to let him know when he was younger, to not touch some certain things, I was just, you know, tapping his fingers, and he would crack up about it. He would just laugh at me. At some point, I was like, hey, this is not going to do anything. Yeah. It's not going to bring any effect. And I don't want to do that either. So let's just find another way. But
you know, it's a last resort for us to use to be physical. Yeah. It's the last resort. And sometimes maybe the kid needs like a smack in the butt just to know that what they're doing is not right. We're not saying that one is correct and one is wrong. Right now, we're trying to figure out what the balance is. Yeah. And we discovered that Jason is quite sensitive to tone and facial expression, you know, and he could just burst into tears by how you look at him or the tone you use in calling him. Yeah. You know,
especially if he goes deep and then you're like, no. And very firm. Oh, he can cry.
Yeah, he gets emotional with that. Then when you like maybe smack his hand or whatever, and so we're discovering that, you know, in the differences about how we were raised. And the second question is this. Who was the tough one growing up? Was it your mom or your dad? Because one of them has to be the firm or the bad guy. Who was it?
It's hard to say because there's always like, in some areas they're tough, in some areas they're not tough. Like, for example, when I was growing up in, you know, becoming from a girl to a teenager and, a woman and wearing high heels and, all that stuff, I would say sometimes my mom was more affected and really harsh about it. But then when it came to dancing, doing my African, my dad was like very tough, and he was like, "No, I don't want you to dance any sexual dance." For him, it was sexual dance because that's all they knew. Slightly hip hop or stuff like that would already be like sexual dance. So it always depended on which area. School, my mom was quite tough because she was coming from that area. Boys, that my dad was more tougher. So yeah,
I understand. I mean, in the beginning. At the beginning, like when we were quite like really, really little, my dad was working then and my mom was not. So my mom was mostly at home, and so she was like the tough one, like the disciplinarian and stuff like that. And eventually my dad went into full-time ministry and was mostly at home, and my mom was working. My dad took over the discipline. So in the beginning my mom was, but then eventually my dad became the tough, the hard, yeah.
I mean, I would say that too because my dad was mostly working. My mom was at home.
Mm-hmm.
She had to be the tough one, but always depending on what area. Sometimes, even up to now, like some area, my dad is tougher in the other areas. My mom is tougher.
Yeah.
But it always depends on.
What did you think you were going to become when you were growing up? Like, what was the professions like that came into your mind, like things that you would do when you grew up?
I mean...
Or things your parents encouraged you to do when you were growing up?
I don't know if I can say profession. My dream was always to be a Native American. Like Pocahontas. We were at this trip in the States when I was like 8 years old or something. And we met like a Native American, and he was so sweet and so nice. And I don't know if you know the Marlboro blocks, from the cigarette. Back in the days, it was like
I've never seen them.
Okay, cigarettes advertisement, and there was like these rocks.
Okay.
And he had a property exactly in front of those rocks, so you could see the rocks, and they were like very popular and everything. So you could stay on his property and have a tent there, and he would show us around and everything. And so I don't know, then it was for me like from that day on I was like, oh, I wish I was just a Native American. Was riding my horse and just enjoying that nature, and I don't know, it was always a dream of mine.
So guys, her profession is to become a Native American, so let's pray for her. Let's make it happen.
Besides that, I always wanted to be an artist. Like, I wanted to dance always, or like do arts. So either one of those. And combine it with kids, like to do some ministry with kids, and then combine the dancing and the arts.
Yeah.
I think we have to do a break because...
Zane is waking up gradually. Yeah.
You will hear him.
I'm sure you can hear him already. So, see you guys in a bit. Parent life. So, guys, we are back.
From a little
the break.
Advertisement break.
Yeah, we're hoping that we get to the point where, people pay us to advertise stuff. So, yeah, you were talking about...
we wanted to be...
Dreaming about becoming Native American, and then you talked about arts and music, and yeah.
And then there was a time where I wanted to be a lawyer.
Now you're coming towards the Nigerian part. What is musician? What kind of money do you want to make?
Nigerians, you're either our doctor or your lawyer. Out of those.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
There's more.
Pharmacist.
Yeah. And there's another one also, very important.
Engineer. Engineer.
You see, she's learning very fast. Without me telling her, she knows.
Okay, let me tell you guys. I didn't want to do neither of those things. But yeah, I wanted to do something with arts and kids. That was like a major thing. Yeah. For you, what was when you were like little?
You already knew. At the beginning,
I want to become native.
I wanted to become a chemical engineer. But chemistry was not easy in school. So I was like, maybe I have a different call, you know. Wisdom is profitable to direct. Start using scripture when things get hard. And I was like, okay, chemical engineering, humble yourself. Don't be thinking too much. Let's try pharmacist. My dad was like, you can become a pharmacist and stuff like that. I was like, sure, yeah, pharmacist is good, So I have to learn to love mathematics. Not my most favorite subject.
Not my favorite.
I mean, somehow I passed, but it was not my favorite.
I remember from my part in the school, I was so bad. I was just happy that I made it. Just I made it.
At some point, I had a friend. His name is Kizito. He was my best friend in secondary school, and he would always get like good grades, like really good grades. And we were best friends. So the thing they say, show me your friend, I'll tell you who you are. That didn't work for. It didn't work for us. He was getting the good grades, and because I was like a bit of a clown. I mean, I was quite religious and also a bit clownish, like funny music, arts. That was my thing, And in English, I would crush English, like in class or whatever. So a lot of this stuff, like all the social stuff, I was killing it. And this guy would be like, Ebenezer, why are you just busy playing around? Go and study. Because, man, this guy and book. And,
bookworm.
Yeah. And
but funny-wise, now he's a bookworm. He is a bookworm. I don't know anybody else that is such a bookworm than he is. Like, I mean, he doesn't like reading books a lot. But if you find something that is very interesting,
any book of money,
man, he reads it in like 2 days. He's done.
So
and I'm like, wait, what?
Just write about money.
But I need to get you reading this relationship book for I don't know how many months to get to the point where you actually start reading, and then another half a year until he actually finished the.
Yeah, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to get into
But when he's interested in something, he goes into it completely. He dives in it. Like, it's just amazing. That's how I went for you in programming.
Yeah, in programming and stuff. And even in learning the language. So,
so good. He's one of the best. He was always one of the best, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was it in school. Like, I wouldn't say I was the best. There was a time that I got a bad result, man. The result was so bad. And then I was living with my grandmother. And she was a teacher. So like family, like education means a lot to a Nigerian family. It's very, very important. Like going to school, being the best, studying, going to university, getting your doctorate, like just education is very important. More than sports or whatever. Now people know that people are making money from sports and music, so that's changing now a bit. But back then it was quite strict, and I got a bad result, and I tried to clean one of the numbers and leave one number. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know how I thought I could get away with that, living with a teacher, So I tried to clean it one number off, and then the paper tore. And so I had to do it in a way that would make it look as if I was playing, and then it just tore. I don't know how I thought I was going to explain that. So I got home and I told my grandma, this what happened. And I think I got like a 23 or like a 24 out of 26 or whatever. And that was really bad. And
23 out of 26 was really bad.
Yeah. No. Actually, let me tell you how we measure. We measure first, second, third. So 23rd position. It wasn't like just 23 out of 26 grades. No, I'm talking about positions. So if you come first,
Okay.
So in position, that's how we were graded. So I was the 23rd or 24th position. So that's like far away from first and second,
Okay.
And so I took away the 2 or whatever, trying to leave the 3. And then I went home and my grandma was like, what is this? I was playing and then he tore. And so she went to school with me to find out what happened. That day I got a beating, my friend. I got the spanking. So, like, summary, like, education was quite important. So you had to either become a doctor, a pharmacist, an engineer, a lawyer, all this stuff. I mean, you can become a mechanical engineer, but you cannot become a mechanic. You have to add engineer to it. So that was that was quite important for us. But yeah.
But what was your dream? Like, what was your dream? What do you always want to do?
My dream, what I wanted to do. I don't think I loved music. Mm-hmm. So I always wanted to do music, like just, back then I was just thinking about getting big. Just blowing, we call it, one day you could blow it big.
You could blow.
So that was the dream. I still love doing music till now, and now I'm into programming, which I never thought I was ever going to do.
Not me either. I never thought that you would
software
ever
development and a lot of calculations, which I didn't like, previously. So, yeah, that's
can
how
change.
Can change. What is something you learned growing up that you feel like you can apply right now as a parent?
There's a few things. But I think one of the things is that my parents were always humble, and they would always say, hey, we also just want the first-time parents, and if we did something wrong, that you feel like we didn't handle it correctly, you can come up to us and talk about it. So they would always be open about it and say, hey, we also just learning, and giving that side of vulnerability to your kids and just telling them, okay, you're not perfect, you're also learning. So if you feel like I was mistreating you, come up to me and we talk about it. And we can figure it out together. So like that part, I really, really want to have that kind of relationship where I can tell my kids, or even up to now, sometimes go there and I'm saying sorry for how I did it. Not for everything, but for something. Sometimes we overreact because of a lot of circumstances, a lot of stress of, being a parent, having responsibilities and all that stuff. And sometimes you let it out on your kids, although that is not your main issue, it's not, it's a lot of other issues that you have. So, yeah, I think, being vulnerable, being open to talk, and say I did a mistake would be the biggest thing, I think. Yeah.
Okay. From my side, I would say the constant pushing you to achieve the best and not settle for anything less than the best. So that's very strong in the Nigerian household. And that's why you have a lot of Nigerians all over the world doing exploits, doing crazy stuff. Like quite smart people.
I got to learn from you a lot.
Pushing you, if you got less than the best, they ask you, what about the person who got the best? Does he have two heads? Like that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a negative part of it, of course, that puts too much pressure on you, but there's a part, that motivates you to want to achieve the best. And that also, that was a value that was placed in me, and also the spiritual value, of having a walk with God. Quite important. To us right now. It's foundation for our relationship. And we intend to pass that on. We're already doing that. Pass that on, to our kids.
Yeah.
And what is one thing you're grateful for about your parents?
There's a lot of things I'm grateful for. One thing is to believing in me, I would say. To believe in me and trust me that the way they taught me, is going to be the right way. So believing in me also that I'm going to do good and I'm going to succeed in my life or in our lives, and I'm going to do the best. I think that's something that I'm very thankful for, that my parents are just believing in me and trusting me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that I actually have.
Prayer. That's
Oh,
something
yeah.
that I'm very thankful for. My mom praying a lot. Like, I remember when my mom was praying a lot, and that time I would do crazy stuff like walking home alone in the middle of the night from my job. And one day later, I would hear in the news that exactly through that park that I went through was a girl that was sexually assaulted. Like, things like that. And I knew that it was just my mom. It's just like mom. And I think I even, taxi drivers picking me up and, without me paying any dime. But just, it's too dark. You can't be walking alone. Let me just drive you home without any, charging me for it. So like things like that. And okay, my mom was really praying and on her knees and praying. So I really do. I'm thankful for that. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, that's good because we need to know. It's good to be thankful and to be grateful for things like this because there are things that they did wrong, but there are a lot of things that they did right, which is why we're here right now. And I'm grateful that I have, or that I had, and I still have 2 parents.
Yeah.
Because some people they're not even lucky to have 1 parent.
True.
Talk more of 2.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful that I had parents that did their best to make sure that I had everything that I needed to provide and to, to sponsor me, to do a lot of things, to travel, do different stuff, the encouragement, the advice from my dad, and just different stuff, that makes me who I am. Today, I'm grateful for that. And when you become a parent, somehow you learn to appreciate those things.
Oh, even more.
More, because now you see that there are things that you're doing for your kids that they will never know about.
Yeah.
They right now we're talking about what our parents did that we can remember.
Yeah.
But there are things they did that
we can't remember.
The sacrifices that they made that we can't even remember. And you discover that once you become
a parent. Yeah. I think I've gotten more emotional and more thankful about it since I'm a mom, actually. I'm calling my mom sometimes once in a while. I'm like, thank you, Mom, for raising me. Thank you for everything what you've done. And every little thing that you did in my life. And I'm just very thankful. And it's just, it's definitely something that you can be grateful for. That they're together, that they still have a good marriage, and that they're living, that they're taking care of themselves, but also taking care of the family and stuff like that. So.
We're going to end with this. What's one thing that happened when they were raising you that you didn't like that much that you would like to change as regards how you implement that on your kids?
Raising me.
Like something that they did that you felt like could be better.
Like in their relationship?
No, in raising you.
Or just in raising me? Okay. Yeah. I think it's hard. It's a hard thing. They did push me, but sometimes I feel like they pushed me, but they pushed me in the way of comparing myself with them instead of pushing me in another way, So, I did that, you can do that. And somehow I did not, of course it's a pushing, but somehow I didn't have that effect on me of pushing me really, I couldn't see the big picture because all I did was just being compared to them or my mom or, when it came to studies. So I feel like pushing me, they did push me a lot though, but it's hard. It's a hard thing. It's hard to, because there's so many things that I've even forgotten about. I'm like, not really. Yeah. I think sometimes they could have really trusted me more with a lot of things. I think that's something which they did in the end of the day. Yeah. But I had to fight for it. Like I had to fight for it. Like I really, really fought.
Yeah.
To get what I wanted. So I don't know. There's not much that I can say.
In my case, of course, it's based on their experience, and so they did what they thought was best. Because every parent actually just really wants what is best for their kids, you know.
Yeah.
And so my dad, because of how tough he was, I didn't really get to build a bond with him, like an emotional bond with him that much. I love my dad, but I didn't really get to build that emotional bond because we only just saw him as the disciplinarian at that point in time as kids. And now that I'm, older, I see the value of his advice and his counsel, and a lot of things that he said about me came to pass. The wisdom that he has, which also passed on to me in some way.
Yeah.
But that bond is still,
broken,
it's hard. I wouldn't say broken, but it's still hard, to have that father-son bond. And I'm trying to create that now with my boys. That they know that I can be tough when it's time to be tough, but they also know that there's a soft side that they can come to. There's a playful, cuddly, homely dad, that kind of stuff, But yeah, that's important to me. And it was quite also very important to me that my dad wrote me at some point, was like, hey, because he saw how I was, with my kids and everything. It's like, you're a better kid. You're a better dad than I was or than I am. In my mind, I was like, it's nice to hear that from him, like saying that. And I hope I can do better because I learned from him and I can build on that. I shouldn't be worse, But still, it's not a comparison to what he did, because he did what he knew how to do. And hopefully I'm able to build on what he did and, on what I've learned so far. And because now we get to come together, we get to combine our parenting
it's tough.
skills from different backgrounds.
Not easy, let me tell you. It's not easy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just that's the story. That's the summary of upbringings, and I hope you guys are able to learn something from it. Let us know in the comment section about how your upbringing was.
Yep, and how it was for you guys.
Yeah.
Any tips and advice how you teach your children, especially toddlers and tantrums? Please, we are open for advice right now because we have reached that phase.
Yeah.
But thank God, because He's our strength. He bring us through this. But yeah, hit the subscribe button. And
like,
share if you guys think we're worthy to be shared.
Worthy to share.
And don't forget to watch other videos.
Yes.
And
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Have a good time, guys. Bye.
Peace out.